Look out, I see several familiar faces today, and but for those who don't know me, my name is Matt Whittle. I'm the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity of Goldsboro, Wayne. And I must say, I enjoy being here today. I get opportunities to speak at a number of different churches from time to time, and I always enjoy coming to Methodist and Presbyterian churches. I grew up Methodist, I'm now a Baptist, but I've spent many of my formative years in a Presbyterian church in South Carolina with my grandmother. So it's always nice coming home. I was surprised as we stood there singing the Gloria Patri that I remembered all the words. So it's always a good feeling. You feel like you're coming home in times like that. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today is coming home and home ownership and the need for affordable housing in our community. What I want to do a little bit first, though, is kind of set the stage for Habitat for Humanity. For Habitat for Humanity of Goldsboro, Wayne. You see, the story of Habitat for Humanity International and the way its founding came about is a pretty fascinating one. Unfortunately, it's not one that we have time to get into today. I was told by Jack Best to keep it short. So I'm going to do my best to do that, Mr. Best. But Habitat for Humanity of Goldsboro, Wayne, I'm sure many of y'all are familiar, was founded in 2001 by Bill and Jan Edgerton. Great members of our community, do lots of amazing work. They saw the need of the community back in 2001, and they stepped in to fill it. But the idea for Habitat for Humanity, the idea of addressing affordable housing began many years before. It began in the early 1970s at a little place called Americus, Georgia. It's this little farm community called Cornelia Farm down southeastern Georgia. And it was there where Habitat's eventual founders, Millard and Linda Fuller, you'll see a quote from him on the insert in your bulletin, or Millard and Linda Fuller, along with the farmer and biblical scholar Clarence Jordan, came up with the idea of partnership housing. And it's this idea of partnership housing that still guides Habitat for Humanity today. And it's the idea that those who are in need of shelter are working alongside volunteers, are working alongside others in the community to build safe, stable, and affordable housing. And so after 3 years of coming up with this idea, perfecting it, actually in Africa, they came back to Georgia, came back to the United States, and founded Habitat for Humanity. Today it's an international organization. It works in over 70 countries. In the United States, there are over 1,500 different affiliates across the country. In North Carolina alone, there are 67 affiliates, of which we are one, that serve almost all 100 counties. North Carolina has some of the highest need for affordable housing in the United States. That's why, for better or for worse, depending on your perspective, I guess, Habitat for Humanity in North Carolina is the second most active Habitat for Humanity affiliates in the country, behind only Texas, and ranking right near Florida. So there's a lot of affordable housing activity going on throughout the state. Since 2001, since 1976, when Habitat was founded, well before Jimmy Carter, our most famous affiliate, our most famous volunteer, got involved, things have changed a little bit. It doesn't work quite the same way as it used to. Construction costs, some of you all know, have skyrocketed in those 30 years, even in the last 15 to 17 years. We've added paid staff, like myself, and others in our office on our construction team to help build. We have volunteers that come out and help build, and they're a crucial part of it, but we have paid staff now to help assist them, to run the restore. So Habitat for Humanity has changed over the years, and the idea has evolved, and the way we accomplish the mission has evolved. But the core of the mission remains the same. And it's the belief that every person in our community should have a decent place to live. And we believe that by working with community partners, like First Presbyterian, y'all have been wonderful partners for the last 15, 17 years. By working with partners like y'all to share God's love in our community, we believe that we can make a difference and that we can build homes. We can build our community, and we can build hope with families through this idea of affordable housing. Coming home home to a safe and stable home is something that many of us take for granted. Coming home to a house that isn't falling apart and dilapidated, that isn't overcrowded, is something that many of us take for granted. But coming home to a house that's in safe, stable condition can make such a difference in a family's health, in the child's ability to succeed in school. It can make a difference in that parent's ability to be successful in employment and to have stable employment, have a stable job to provide for his or her family. And many of those things we take for granted every day. But those are the things that lay a foundation for a family's success. Now, not just for the people living in that home's success, but those are the things that can lay a foundation, generational success for families. And that's what Habitat is about. That's what we have seen happen in the last 17, 18 years since 2001. And what you all here at First Presbyterian have been a big part of. In fact, the Presbyterian denomination is considered one of the top 5 supporters, one of the top 5 denominations that give back to Habitat for Humanity across the nation. That speaks a lot for what the relationship between the denomination and Habitat for Humanity has been over the many years. Here in Wayne County, we're finishing house number 80. That should be finished this month down in Mount Olive. That's 80 houses since 2001, 80 new homes that we've built across every zip code in Wayne County. We've also recently launched, in the last 18 months, what we call a Brush with Kindness. It's a minor exterior home repair program where we work with the same population, but they already own their homes. Often these are folks who are elderly, who are living on a fixed income, and who over the years, their home has started to fall into a little bit of disrepair. And so we try to address with them what we can. Between these programs and the tithes that we give from those donations that come to us, we make a tithe out of those to our partners abroad. Specifically, we work with Haiti. With Habitat Goldsboro Wayne as a partnership with the affiliate in Haiti. And between them and us, we as in Habitat Goldsboro Wayne, we as in Wayne County, we as in you and us, have served over 140 families since 2001. That's 140 families that have had opportunities to build better futures for themselves. And that work continues as we seek to serve more families, as we seek to serve in new ways and explore new ways to create success for our families. So who do we serve? Who are these families that we serve? It's families like Crystal McKinney and her children. And you're going to hear from her in just a minute because she can tell you better than I can what this means to our families. But let me put her journey into a little bit of context very briefly. There are 4 criteria that our homeowners must meet in order to apply, in order to be qualified for Habitat housing. They must have a housing need. That means they live in a house that is currently dilapidated. They live in a house that is perhaps overcrowded, or they live in government-subsidized housing. Or they're in a home that's creating a cost burden that they're unable to afford, but they're doing the best they can to put their children in a safe environment. They must meet our income guidelines and be willing to pay. Because as I continually have to remind people, we do not give our homes away. Habitat for Humanity is not a giveaway program. Our families, our partner families, our homeowner families, they're buying these houses. They're buying them at affordable mortgages, but they're buying the houses. And they also have to be willing to partner with us. And that means not only do they buy their houses, but they're required to help build their houses. And that's one of the things that sets Habitat apart from so many different programs, is this partnership that we insist upon with our families. We insist upon between our families and our volunteers. If you come out to volunteer at a Habitat job site, especially on a Saturday morning, there is a very good chance that you're going to be pounding those nails alongside at least one of our homeowners, sometimes multiple homeowners, because they're required to do at least 300 hours of sweat equity, 300 hours of volunteer time. So that means that they're not only building their house, they're helping each other to build each other's houses. You might also find them in our restore or coming to speak on days like today to explain what this journey has meant to them. It's not a quick and simple process. Those 300 hours, they take time. And we don't rush our homeowners through it. We want to make sure that when they move into their homes, that they're prepared. That's why we require financial literacy workshops. That's why we have a practical homeownership skills learning lab that we just created with the help of some folks with Daniels and Daniels, especially Bill Royal. I wish he was here today. But he was a big part of helping us put that together so that homeowners can learn those practical skills to maintain their home and to live in it successfully. It's also not something that everybody qualifies for the first time. We're in our application process right now at the office. And we started April 1. It will continue through July 31st. On the first day, we received 28 applications. In the first month, we've received nearly 60 applications from folks in Wayne County who need home ownership. They're looking for something to hang their hat on, for something to become, some way to become homeowners, to have affordable, stable, safe housing. But not all those people are going to qualify. And we always tell them, if you don't qualify, here's why, here's what you can do, please apply again next year. Please address these things and apply again next year. And many of our families are second and third time applicants. Crystal, this is her third time applying. She'll tell you about that. But she didn't become discouraged. Our homeowners, our applicants don't become discouraged. The successful ones do not become discouraged. They work through. And so Crystal has continued to work and take steps to put herself in a position where she can provide for her children and provide that dream of stable and affordable and safe home ownership. To provide for her 4 children, Devin, Elisa, Kara, and Joseph. So I'm going to stop talking for a minute. I want to ask Crystal to come up, and I'm going to ask her to tell you her story herself.
Good morning. Well, let me just start off with, we all know this, but life is hard. I've been trying to take care of these 4 kids the best that I can. And in the midst of hard times, we kind of forget that God's there with you because it's just hard. And but Habitat has proven that God was there the whole time. I mean, he had a plan going on, and I didn't even know it. So I'm grateful for Habitat to answer my prayers, really. But the other part is I applied 3 times. What didn't make me qualify was where I used to, I didn't like going in debt. So, but now we're in a generation, you have to have a credit score. So, so now I have a better credit score, so I finally qualified for it. But these 4 kids, we have lived in mostly 3 bedrooms, lucky to have 2 bathrooms, maybe 1.5 bath. But right now we're in a small 3-bedroom, 1 bath. And the rent is, very expensive, considering what we're renting. And but this is going to give us the opportunity to have a lower payment than what I'm paying in rent. Every one of my children will have their own room. They won't be stacked in bunk beds on top of each other. And if you can't tell, they're kind of getting too big for bunk beds. So they're really excited. But Habitat, I'll tell you, there's so much more to it than even I realized. I get out there as often as I can, and I'm helping move wood, crawl under houses. There's so much, just so much. We're also required to take workshops that teaches you how to repair your own home. So if you can repair your own home, then you don't have to pay someone. They're teaching you how to change your own shingles. There's just so much more to it, and I'm just grateful because I've learned more from Habitat than I even expected. I thought I was just getting us a home, but there's a lot more to everything they do. It's not just building a home. There's just a lot more to it, and we are grateful more than I can even explain how much this means to us. And I think we only have a couple more months till we get in, so we're getting really excited. We're already starting to pack some boxes up and get them in a storage, so hopefully we can get there soon. I'm trying to think, am I leaving anything else out? No? And I'm trying to think. I work at TA Loving, so I know Mr. Sam over here. And actually, I think that's how I kind of heard about Habitat, was through this church and the members and the people that I work with. I think that's how I originally found out about Habitat, because I was new to Wayne County, so I knew nothing about Habitat whatsoever. I think it's a great cause. I mean, I find myself telling people about it now. When on Facebook, when you have your birthday, you pick a fundraiser. I pick Habitat of Goldsboro. It just means so much more than I even realized and what they do. I mean, it's definitely a good cause. This is going to change our lives drastically, and we'll be stable and we can say we have a house to call our own. So thank you.
Crystal, thank you for sharing that. And she's right. We do hope to, excuse me. We do hope to be finishing their house. Their house will be on Rosewood Road. It's a beautiful lot. It's a wonderful wooded area behind the house. It's a beautiful place to be at on a Saturday morning on top of the roof, clear skies, and working on the house. It's going to be a good lot. We're excited for them. We're excited to be working with them. We do hope to be finishing it, I would say at least sometime by the end of the summer. I usually tend to get a little ahead of myself on those timelines. I get excited and want the families in the houses as soon as possible. My construction team's always telling me to slow down. Don't promise what you can't deliver. So we're working with that. But the question, I think there's a question that I wanted to still to answer this morning, and it's why are we talking about Habitat for Humanity on Sunday morning in church? Why am I standing up here in this pulpit speaking about Habitat? At least that's what you call it. But why am I standing up here in this pulpit on Sunday morning talking about Habitat for Humanity in church? I've said many of these same things to different civic organizations over the years. But why in church this morning? And that's because Habitat for Humanity is a Christian-based organization. Remember, it was founded out of this farming community, Koinonia Farms. And it was founded with the help of a biblical scholar, Clarence Jordan. And the whole idea behind it was to share God's love in our community through our actions. And so we see Wayne County as our mission field. And sometimes it's easy to overlook that aspect of what we do. It's easy to get caught up in the fundraising. It's easy to get caught up in construction materials and buying and working with subcontractors and all that stuff. And we are a construction business. And we are a finance business. We are a retail business. And between the resource construction, finance many of our homes ourselves. We're a family services business, working with our families, guiding them through the home ownership process. So it's easy sometimes to overlook the fact that we are a Christian-based ministry. But the most crucial thing that we do, the most crucial aspect of Habitat for Humanity is our relationship with God. On your bulletin insert, there are 2 verses of Scripture. Now, I'm not going to preach to you. You have an amazing preacher who can do that every Sunday. I appreciate him letting me have this space today. But I wanted to just draw your attention to these two verses. The first is Mark 12:31. I want to put that into a little bit of context and read the first, the 2 verses that go with that, verses 30 and 31. That say, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Those are familiar words. We've heard them many times. But they have a special application to Habitat for Humanity. Our whole mission is based on sharing God's love. It's based on loving our neighbors, not just through our words, primarily through our actions. Actions that create new neighbors in our communities. The second verse on your insert is Psalm 127:1. Unless the Lord builds the house, the laborers build in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. If you've ever been to one of our home dedications or one of our groundbreaking ceremonies, you've probably heard this verse before. It's one that I like to share a lot. Because it's a reminder to me, it's a reminder to our volunteers, to our staff, it's a reminder to the community, I hope, that no matter what we're doing, that God should always be at the center of our efforts. And when you really think about it, Habitat for Humanity is a model that should not work. It's not a business model that somebody trying to make money would tackle. Building homes, financing them ourselves, working with families that have few to no other options, building on land that frankly a lot of them nobody else wants. That's why we can get it for cheap. Subsidizing the costs, relying on volunteer labor to do the bulk of the carpentry, drywall when we can find people who can hang it. It's not a business model that works, but it does. And it has internationally for over 40 years, and it has in Wayne County for 18 years. And the reason it works is because we go back to Psalm 127. And we keep the Lord at our center, internationally and locally. And so as we continue to build in Wayne County, as we continue to serve families in Wayne County, and as we continue to move forward, the Lord at our center, I hope that you all as a congregation and as individuals will continue to walk with us, continue to work with us, most importantly, continue to pray with us, and continue to help us make the dreams of families like Crystal McKinney's come true. Thank you all so much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to y'all a little bit today, and I'll be sticking around, so if there's anybody who wants to talk any more specifically, I'm happy to answer any questions. But again, thank you all so much, and do please continue, especially, to keep us in your prayers. Thank you.